I just come from the poet's part. Bright light, city life, I gotta make it. This is where it goes down. I just happen to come up hard. Legal or illegal, baby, I gotta make it.
I never took a straight path nowhere. Life's full of twists and turns, bumps and bruises. I live, I learn. I'm from that city full of yellow cabs and skyscrapers. It's hard to get a start in these parts without paper. Homie, I grew up in hell, a block away from heaven. That corner age 15 minutes, it move a 7. Pure snow, bag it then watch it go. Occupational options, get some blow or some hoes. Shoot the ball of the
What's going on, Cigar World? What's going on, Cigar Enthusiasts? This is Jack, the Cigar Enthusiast, and I'm back with another video. I hope you guys are ready for the night. But before we go ahead and get started, man, how's everybody's day going? If you don't know already, go ahead and hit that comment box. Give me a good hey, so I can go ahead and shout you out on this beautiful platform called Virtual Smoke Deck. If you don't know what Virtual Smoke Deck is, or you're new to the Virtual Smoke Deck family, I want to first say welcome. Welcome. The thing of this Virtual Smoke Deck is to really sit back and have conversations that you would typically experience with entrepreneurs and very successful people while smoking a cigar or whatever it is that you tend to smoke. The biggest thing is surround yourself in a circle that's going to be that you're going to be able to thrive in, right? And I feel like as a cigar connoisseur, as somebody that's been in the game for so long, it only makes sense to be able to smoke a cigar and talk with billionaires and millionaires about topics that you would never usually talk about. And that's the purpose of this platform. That's what we're coming here to say today. If you don't know already, go ahead and shop DapperDCigars.com for all your cigar needs and wants. And look, we're going to have fun today. So if you haven't already, go ahead and grab your drink, grab you a great cigar, because our special guest that we have today is going to be one of a kind. Man, the special guest we got today, I actually met soon, not soon, but right when around the time I moved to Jacksonville from Memphis. And one thing that I was looking for when I met him is, if you've never been to Memphis, you don't understand honey gold wings. Honey gold wings is life, man. That's my favorite type of wings. So I went through and through Jacksonville trying to find honey gold wings, and I came across my man Jameel's restaurant and off of 7404 Lim Turner Road, Jacksonville, Florida. And when I sit here and say I was wowed by it, man, he took me in like family. Couple times went there, always got my wings. Now I go there, everybody know, oh, Jack is getting his wings. And then eventually I just started developing a relationship with Jameel, who really started to not only become just somebody business that I used to patronize, but he also became a friend. Like when we started Dapper D's, when I started recording on YouTube and different things of that nature, he really was the foundational piece and the person that was like, hey, Jack, you need to do this, you need to do that. And he really just helped develop me along the way of what we in now. Today, he took the time out of his busy schedule to sit down with us and really brainstorm with us and politic with us for an hour and 15 minutes. Who knows how long this Virtual Smoke Deck will last. Without further ado, let's welcome Jameel. What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's up, Jack? How are you guys?
Man, we are great. We are great. And we want to first start off by saying thank you for coming. Thank you for taking the time out your day to sit down and talk with us.
Thank you for having me, man. It's an honor. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Man, it's more of an honor to be sitting down with you. You know, a lot of people are going to learn your story as we sit here and talk. But more or less than anything, man, you are one, before we even dive into anything, a really great brother and somebody that unconditionally just fed me knowledge the whole entire way, and the successes that we have came to this far, and many more to come as well.
Absolutely, I appreciate it, man. It's a learning scenario for both of us. I mean, I'm a little bit older than you are, not by much, because you know I'm a young guy, but at least young at heart, right?
Right.
But I appreciate you talking to me, and we both feed off of one another and learn from one another. But you know, I appreciate your passion, man. Your passion's great. So keep it up.
Man, absolutely, and I appreciate it. You know, when you love something so much, it's easy to be passionate about it, and that's why I tell people all the time that's trying to look into getting into business, whatever the case may be. You could be selling life insurance, or you could be, you know, running your own restaurant. You could open up Dapper D's, whatever the case may be. It's going to be really hard to be successful at that if that's not your passion, and you might as well go ahead and work for Bob, the CEO of Ford, or somebody. Because at the end of the day, it's going to feel the same way.
That's right. That's right. You always want to, you know, you got to work hard, and no matter what you do. So first off, cheers to everybody watching. Jax, cheers to you, my friend. Cheers, everybody.
Man, y'all need to go ahead and get them drinks going. Tell us what you're drinking on in them comment sections. Let's go.
That's right. I got a little vodka Sprite with a splash of mango with some lime. So that's my go-to.
Fancy, huh?
Hey, well, you know, vodka is. That's all I drink is the vodka. So, but for you, I had to put a little splash of mango. You know.
Okay, and a mint leaf in there, huh?
A little lime. You got to put a lime in the coconut. You know.
Oh man, I said smoking. I ain't even smoking yet. I'm drinking on some Remy Martin 1738. What I'm smoking today, it only goes right with it, you know. Today we're smoking on a Cohiba Ciganello 5. This is a Lancero 7x38. One of my favorite Cohibas. I'm not really a Cohiba guy, I'm more of a H. Upman, Romeo and Juliet Cuban guy. But I was like, when you sitting down with one of the guys you first talked to about business, and he sits here and tells me what to do, how to do it, when to do it. It's only right that you smoke a great cigar when talking to a great guy. What you smoking on, Meal?
All right, so I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I know you guys do a lot of cigars on your show, but you know, this is the smoke deck. So I have my Khalil Malmoon, and I'm going to show you a little glimpse here.
Okay.
If I can get the camera to work with me.
MTV Cribs, give us a walkthrough.
It's, let's see, where we at? Right here. My little Khalil Malmoon hookah, also known as El Ghila in Arabic. But basically, it has flavored tobacco in it, and you get pretty much any kind of flavor you want. Right now, I'm smoking a little bit of spiced chai with a mix of orange cream. So it's a real smooth pull. At the bottom of the base, you put ice and water. Some people put other things in there like Mountain Dew or milk or liquor, but most people put water in it. And the actual tobacco is in the head. It doesn't actually doesn't have the fire burning on the tobacco. It sits on top of it with either foil or some kind of metal. And that heat steams the tobacco, and pushes it down through the water, which the water cools it off with the ice, and it goes through the tube. So it's a real smooth draw, and you get all kinds of flavors. And the best thing about it is that, you know, you share this with, you know, a group of people, and either it's, you know, at special occasions or stuff like that. But you could take one hookah and pass it around with multiple people, and you know, have a good time. So I figured I got my nice hookah out for you. And we're going to be smoking together, I guess.
Hey, my brother. Hey, look, he gave this long description to tell us it's hookah. For all my people that don't know what hookah is, especially if you're my age, you know what hookah is. But for my older people that probably like, what is he talking about? That was a literally great breakdown of what hookah is, right? And I just say we dibble dabble in hookah, and a lot of people be like, "Are you gonna offer hookah and Dapper D's?" And I, as much as I want to, and be like, "Yeah," I'm like, "No," because hookah, and maybe you can break this down for us as well. Hookah and the Arabic countries is a lot different from hookah in America. Hookah in the Arabic countries, I'll let you explain that. But here in America, it's more of like a thing to do, and everybody does it. And not saying that I don't mind everybody coming to Dapper D's, because we don't, but it's more of an elegant upscale type deal and over here in America, it's not really that type of deal. Tell
True.
us how it is smoking hookah in an Arabic country.
Well, in the Arabic countries, you see these everywhere, and coffee shops and restaurants. No matter where you go, they always got hookahs around. It's been around for a very long time overseas. It's really big in the Middle Eastern countries, in India, more of the Eastern kind of country, or Middle East, I should say, countries. But here in the United States, you get more of like hookah lounges and stuff like that, which is not the same as a cigar lounge to me is more of like an upscale business. You get it like a big business crowd, younger guys and gals that are doing it. The hookah lounges, especially here in town, one of my friends actually started the first major one here in Jacksonville, but the hookah lounges here are more of something to do. Like you said, you know, you're sitting down at a restaurant, you might have a little bit of food here, a little bit of smoke there. It's fun, but it's different than like a cigar lounge, like what you would expect in a cigar lounge. Absolutely. Usually hookah lounges have food and things of that nature where your main thing is eating and then smoking a little bit with your friends, as opposed to a cigar lounge, which is really just sitting down, smoking and having a good drink with some buds. So.
Absolutely. Well, we can sit here and talk about cigars and hookah because I love hookah and I'm a cigar enthusiast, and I know you're a hookah-ologist, a hookah enthusiast as well. You know, it's just crazy how things happen, right? You know, I spoke about our story in the very beginning of how we actually, you know, met by me just coming in and ordering food. Tell us a little bit about your restaurant here in Jacksonville, as well as you know, just a little bio about yourself as well.
Well, I am a first generation Palestinian American. My father came here from Palestine, Ramallah, Palestine, when he was just a kid. He was like 18 years old. Came to the United States, didn't have maybe $100 to his name, didn't speak English, didn't know anyone. Worked hard throughout his entire life. Got to know people, got to learn the language, and my father worked from morning until night. When I was a child, I never saw him except for Sunday. Sunday was his only day off. So Sundays was a really big family day, and even Sundays for me is a huge family day because we always grew up as Sunday being a family day. Again, my dad busted his butt for all those years and worked hard and built a business from the ground up, not knowing anyone, not having any money to his name, not knowing the language. So he had everything going against him. But the one thing he had was determination. That guy is a workaholic. He busts his butt. Even to this day, he goes into the restaurant 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever the case may be, to open up the store, get it going. Until I get there, I usually take my girls to school. Obviously, right now in the pandemic, that's not happening. But I usually get there, and then he takes off. But we've been in business for about 30 years at our location. Prior to that, we've been in restaurant business for forever, as long as I can recall. You know, we're known as, you know, it's a family restaurant. Everyone comes in. We know a lot of people that come to my restaurant. I mean, I've seen young kids come in that have now grown up, gone to college, had a family of their own, and they're bringing their own kids in. Absolutely. So we've literally seen generations of people come into the restaurant, and it really is a blessing. I thank God for all the blessings that we have. You know, we do work hard. We miss a lot of events due to working hard, but we look at the big picture as we're providing for our family, and you know, we look at it as we're putting bread on the table. We can try to live the lifestyle that we want our family to live in. My wife is a great worker. She's awesome. She takes care of my children, our children, and I can't ask for a better blessed life. So I work hard. I try to treat everyone with respect, and you know, having the respect and the honor and the determination that'll get you far in life. So that's everything you need to know. All you need to do is work hard, be a good person, make good decisions. Don't be shady with your morals, or don't do people wrong. You know, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's the golden rule. So I've lived that way all my life, and I'm blessed. So I think it's an accurate statement. So we'll go with that.
Well, before I dive into that, let's give a couple of shout outs. Just shout out to my beautiful wife. Hey, Verinda, how you doing? Joe Jamerson, he was actually on here a couple of weeks ago. He wants to know the name of your restaurant. His name of his restaurant is Famous Sandwich. And also at the bottom, as that tickler goes across, it also states the address and where you can go. He's open between 6 a.m. and 3 p.m. Again, some amazing food. Me personally, I have never had breakfast there, but I hear the breakfast is the best part. I personally like a couple of other things on the menu. Like my wings, my steak in a pouch, the pork chop sandwich. Hey, we ain't gonna tell y'all what we be eating on all the time.
Yep.
Oh man.
And it gets crazy, guys. So if you're coming on, especially like Friday or Saturday or first of the month, it's crazy. Be prepared to wait or call it in because everyone knows where the good food is. So thank God we cook everything fresh. So you're bound to get a great meal. We do it with love. You will wait because we're not a fast food restaurant where your food is already made for you before you walk in the door. We cook everything fresh. That's what people like about us. They know they have to wait a little bit, but they're going to get good, fresh, and fantastic food. So that's what we try to do.
Great quality, great customer service as well. That goes hand in hand with any freaking business. You can have the best product in town, and if you got the shittiest customer service out there, then guess what, pal? You're gonna have a bad business because that just go hand in hand. Great business, great customer service. When you lack one of those, I mean, you're a recipe for disaster in business. But like you said, you are extremely blessed because you do onto people as you want them to do onto you. And that's something that I picked up from you from the first start. It wasn't like, you don't have to work there. I think at any given time you have like 8 people working there. And majority of the time, he's still behind the scenes, doing everything from start to finish, and he's there every day. So when you talk about work ethic, that is the definition of it. You have to get up them early mornings, and you have to stay there. So it's no brainer that you've been in business 30 years and still growing successful. Because at the end of the day, no matter how comfortable you got, no matter how big a salary you got, you still stayed using the fundamentals that your dad taught you clearly. Absolutely.
You got to work hard. You got to put your time in. There's no get rich quick scheme. You gotta be determined. You got to be disciplined. That's very important nowadays. Everyone, a lot of younger people want these handouts. You gotta be disciplined. You got to be determined. You have to be responsible for your future. If you want to be successful, you can't hang around with people that don't want to be successful. So I'm going to tell you something.
Meal, say that again.
Yes.
Say that again.
If you want to be successful, you got to hang out with people that also want to be successful. If you are hanging out with someone that always has excuses, I'm going to give you an example. I have someone, I posted a job, now hiring. We're actually hiring right now. And on the app, the ad that said, we're hiring, and there's a lot of qualifications that we ask for, and they're all basic qualifications. Hey, you got to work hard, you got to be able to multitask, you got to be dependable, you got to be honest, you got to be a team player. That's pretty self-explanatory. That's pretty common with any job in the world. Mm-hmm. You get people that comment, oh, well, that's a lot of qualifications. Those are pretty common qualifications that every job requires. There's nothing out of the ordinary there. You're making an excuse. Also, you get people that say, oh, well, I don't want to fill it out an application online because this. Again, they're making excuses. Guys, listen to me. If you make excuses, you will never succeed in anything because those excuses are what holds you back. If you want it, you got to be a go-getter. You got to say, you know what? I'm going to go fill this application out in person. I'm going to go meet the man. I'm going to go do what I got to do to make it happen. Now, don't do anything illegal. Don't do anything shady. If, I tell you, please don't call the restaurant. Please don't call the restaurant. We're a busy restaurant. We don't have time to take 100 phone calls on if you're hiring. Obviously, the ad tells you we're hiring, but that's just an example. People that want to be successful have to be go-getters. They have to go for it. You can't make excuses. Excuses equal failure. Remember that. Excuses equal failure. So if you want to constantly make an excuse, oh, it's raining outside, I'm not going to go work out because it's raining outside. Well, yeah, you're making an excuse. Can you work out? Of course. You can work out inside your house. You can do push-ups. You can do sit-ups. You can do whatever you want. You're making an excuse because you don't want to do it deep down inside. So all you need to realize is if you want it, you got to seize the day. You got to do it. Be determined. Be successful. Stop with the excuses, guys. My father, I always talk about my father because he's a hero of mine. He is my hero. You got to think about this, guys. He came to the United States back when he was, 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, something like that. Didn't know English. Guys, do you know how hard it is to make it if you don't know the language?
Absolutely.
Didn't know the language. Didn't know anyone in the United States, except for like one or two family members, that he stayed with when he got here. Had maybe the equivalent of $100 in his pocket, equivalent to today's money. $100. That's nothing, guys. That's nothing. He came here basically without anything, and he worked hard. He learned the language. He learned how to work hard and save money and bust his butt. He got married. He had a family. He instilled those qualities into me and into my brother and into my sister, and our family is strong because of those qualities. He did not have an excuse. Did he want to wake up every day and work two jobs, 3 jobs from morning till night and never see his children? Did he want to do that? Absolutely not. Who wants to do that? People want to be able to stay at home and relax, but he's determined. He was disciplined to make it. No excuses. He woke up. He's got a headache. I don't care. I'm going to work. I'm making this money. I'm making it for my family. This isn't about me. It's about my family. I'm making it. You got to stop. These excuses is what kills anyone's dreams. And everyone wants to be rich. And being rich is not just a monetary rich. Being rich is rich with family. It's so rich with love, rich with health. The richest man in the world, one of the richest men in the world, Steve Jobs, who also was a Middle Eastern person. He was half Middle Eastern. But Steve Jobs had all the money at his disposal, but he didn't have his health. And he died young from I think it was cancer he died of. So all the money in the world doesn't mean anything if you're not rich in your health and rich in love and rich. So again, no excuses, guys. You got to work hard. You got to be disciplined. You got to put, one foot in front of the other. And, make good decisions. Don't do things that other people would look at and say, man, this guy's immoral, or he doesn't have a good head on his shoulders. And don't be greedy. So I always try to help people. I got a lot of people that come to my restaurant that are homeless, that are looking for a job or looking for food. And I try to help everybody I can to the degree that I can. I mean, I give, and I'm not trying to toot my horn because I don't seek any kind of acknowledgement or praise for this because I give all the glory to God. But I try to help out the person that comes in that is hungry. I feed them. I don't ask for money. I don't ask for recognition. I don't post it online. I don't do any of that.
Come on.
I do that out of what I think is right. I have the means to help someone out, so I'm going to help them out if I can. But again, it's all about making the right decisions. So make the right decisions, keep a good head on your shoulders, work hard, be disciplined, and don't lose, respect for others. And I think you're going to make it. And I see that in you, Jack. All those qualities you got, my friend. I love the passion. When you first came to the restaurant, you started talking to me, and little story, guys, because I know Jack doesn't like to talk much about himself, but Jack came into my restaurant. Again, he just moved into town. He was in the military, I think, for some time, and he ordered some wings, and we started chit-chatting. I had a little bit, it was a little bit of a slow time for me at the time, so I sat down with him. We started chit-chatting about this, chit-chatting about that, And you know, back of my head, I'm like, this guy's pretty cool. I would hang out with this guy. You know, he's a good guy. And sure enough, he would start coming in more often. We talked a little bit more, and he started talking to me about his business aspirations and his cigars, love for cigars. And, you know, I try to help him out as much as I can. And look at you now, man. About to open up Dapper D's, baby. This is fantastic, man. I'm proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you. Seriously. That's fantastic.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You deserve it.
Man, thank you. Thank you. You know, you said some great things there that the few points I just want to take out and expound on. You know, I remember that one time we sat down and you was talking about I think the same situation with the job and how younger folks, I'm saying younger folks as in my age and younger, for some apparent reason have this excuse my French, but this piss poor way of work ethic. Right? They have no drive. They have no motivation. They have nothing that's sitting there pushing them day in and day out. And a lot of people use this excuse. Oh, well, I didn't necessarily come for anything and X, Y, and Z. And, you know, I didn't have two parents and I didn't have a dad that can sit here and show me what great work ethic is. And all this other stuff. Excuses equal failure. Right?
Absolutely.
Because what a lot of people don't know is I didn't have those same things either. My mama taught me something, and she taught me how to work really, really hard. My mom worked 3 jobs majority of her life to make sure that we had what we needed. I always sit here and I sometimes I complain and I fuss about the fact that, man, I wish my mama would have came to a football game. I wish my mama would have, you know, came to a graduation. I wish this, I wish that. But what a lot of people don't understand is there is certain things that you miss when you're trying to provide for a family. It's a very, very hard decision to make. And I say that not neglect your kids, but there is gonna be certain situations where you may miss it. But that one when she asks you, or you know, I got daughters, so the one when she asks, Dad, can you please be there? Can you please be there? Guess what? I'm gonna be there. But the fact of the matter is there is things that you have to do in life to change the trajectory of the future. You know, we could sit here and could constantly make excuses how, you know, I got out the military after 10 years. A lot of people are like, well, why did you do it? Because I got tired of it. I went on a limb, you know, nothing but God. Glory go to God. Led me on this pathway. Introduce me to different people that can lead me, that can mentor me, that can mold me into the businessman I am now, and could constantly mold me into the man I am today. And it's like when you're scared to go on them limbs and you're scared to work and you're scared to do this, then 9 times out of 10, what you're gonna have is nothing but failure, nothing but failed success. You're never gonna be successful because at the end of the day, you're not willing to go. You don't have to have all the money in the world. Guess what? I'm far from have all the money in the world, but I'm going on a limb to do what I know I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about cigars, and that's what it is that I'm gonna do. You know, and hearing those words come from you, you know, it hits it again. You know, I was talking to a good friend of mine today, and you know, I just went on this rant, and I said, you know what? I'm sorry. I know that wasn't even what the conversation was about, but I felt like you needed to hear it. And I felt like I needed to hear exactly what it is that you just said. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how many excuses that you can put out there, there is still work to be done. You can still change. You can still get up today and do better than what you did yesterday. I mean, I mean, there's just things like, come on, like, what are you listening to? You know?
I'm going to give you a story about my early childhood. I grew up in the Lake Forest area on the north side of town, okay? And after that, after I get a little bit older, we moved to the Dunn Avenue area here in Jacksonville. Now, for people that don't know, is that the neighborhood I lived in, we had a good mixture. It was probably, you know, 75% African-American, 25% white. We had a good mixture of people. Now, I'm saying that because I grew up with a lot of people around town knowing me because my father had a successful business. Well, at the time it was still growing, but it ended up being a successful business, thank God. But I grew up with a lot of black friends, a lot of white friends. Some of these people that I grew up with, we lived in the same kind of house. Our houses were small. We had the same kind of backgrounds where we were in not the greatest part of town. We weren't in a rich part of town. We were in a, working class part of town. Everyone, we worked hard. We were, poor to middle class people. And all the people that I grew up with, I grew up in the same neighborhoods as some of the people that have the excuses that say, oh man, I grew up on the north side. I didn't have an opportunity. I said, hey, listen, I grew up down the street from you.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
And I'm not,
That's what they need to hear.
Yeah. It's like, and I tell everyone, I get a lot of young people that come to my restaurant, and I literally try to have a discussion with them if I can, because sometimes I'm too busy. I don't have time to get off the grill or I'm doing paperwork or something. But when I do have time, I like to sit and talk to people. I like to talk to my customers. That's how you build relationships. And that, that's kind of how we met. You sat down, I had a couple minutes. I sat down and talked to you, and here we are. Now, growing up, all these people that made excuses, and I said, guys, I grew up in the same area as you. I had the same type of house that you did. I went to the same school you did. We did the same thing. Now, I did have a mother and father, and they didn't play. My mother was very big on education. Again, my mother and father didn't know English. I remember being in kindergarten, learning English, and then going home and teaching my mom and dad English. Or, awesome. I would teach my dad on Sunday. I would teach my mom during the week. I would teach her English. She would be teaching me Arabic, and I would be teaching her English. So it's funny because we kind of grew up together learning the language. I was born here in the United States, so I had a little bit of advantage being at school. So anyways, with that being said, the majority of the people that I talk to that say, I grew up in the north side, I grew up wherever on the west side, I grew up, on the bad part of town, we didn't have opportunities. Hey, listen, I grew up in the same area. I went to the same school. We had the same kind of background. Some of my friends went to jail. Some of the people I grew up with got murdered, got killed. Some of them are drug dealers. Some of them, but guess what? I also have the other side of friends, the other side of people that I grew up with that wanted to be successful. These guys wanted to be successful. I have friends that are attorneys. I have friends that are police, that are nurses, that are doctors, and we all grew up in the same part of town. We all grew up down the street from one another. I have friends, we all had the same background. The only difference between my situation and your situation is I didn't make excuses. I wanted to learn. I wanted to excel. My mother and father told me, hey, you got to work hard. You got to do good in school. There's no compromise. You got to work hard. You got to do good in school. You got to make good decisions. And the people that did that grew up in our neighborhood, because we were a close-knit family. Everyone knew everyone. When you grew up, you could tell who wanted it and who didn't want it. So the people that didn't want it ended up being, put in jail, selling drugs, being killed, things of that nature. And the others that did want it all became successful, whether they own their own business, whether they're a doctor, they're attorneys, whatever the case may be. I got one of my friends, he's a SWAT team member. These are the kind of guys that I grew up with. We grew up in the same neighborhood, guys. You got to stop with excuses. Don't blame anyone but yourself. You determine what you become, whether you become the doctor that you want to be, or the attorney that you want to be, or the business owner that you want to be, or you determine whether you don't make those aspirations, whether you end up working a 9-to-5, selling hamburgers and hot dogs all day long for someone else, or whether you're a successful entrepreneur, or whatever the case may be. Guys, work hard. Even if you're older, you guys can still do what you need to do. You can't let your society, your environment, your background, your family, none of that can hold you back. You have to take responsibility for your actions, your decisions. If you do right and you work hard, you're going to make it. If you don't, you're the excuse. Don't be the excuse for your failure. No one else can determine if you're successful or not. Just you. God gave you a brain. It's up to you to use it. And if you don't use it, you can't blame anyone. Can't blame your family. Can't blame the environment. Can't blame this man or that man. The man is not holding you back. Only you are.
And you know what? the crazy part about that is so many, it's an old saying like, excuses are like buttholes. It's really somewhere else. Everybody got one.
And they all stink.
Everybody's sitting here always trying to come up with a way of how they can maneuver the system versus just simply just going out there and doing it. You know what? If you can't sit here and show up on time, had a motivation to get up out of your bed, sit here and understand that your family always needs to eat, bills need to be paid, and still do what you need to do, then starting a business ain't for you. Because these are the same people I see on the internet all the time sitting here saying, I'm gonna go start a business. But failure is equals your name. Why? Because every time something gets hard, you quit.
Yep.
Every time something's not easy, you quit. Every time somebody says no, you quit. Every time somebody says, I'm not interested in what you're talking about, you quit. That is not the behavior or the mindset you have to have. You said it best. You have a brain. Too many times people sit here and put themselves in this mental slavery box. And
True.
Where they feel like, because I feel like I can fail, I'm not going to be successful. Where the hell is that rolling down?
You've already failed. If you think if you have an excuse and you think you're going to fail, guess what? You've already failed. You've put in your brain already. You've put in your mind already that I'm not going to be able to do this. I can't do this. I'm a single mom. I'm a single dad. I don't have an education. I don't do. Again, these are all excuses. If you put in your head that you can't do something, you're right. You can't, because you've already put yourself behind the 8 ball, because the mind is the first thing that you got to convince that you can do it. You got to be able to do it. Now, with that being said, you have to start out somewhere. So if you're working for someone, there's nothing wrong with that, guys. You want to work for someone, everyone's got to start somewhere. If you want to work for someone, be the best employee that you can be to them. Why?
Possibly be.
Well, I'm a business owner. I'm going to tell you something. I'm a business owner. I've been a business owner for a long time. And all business owners would tell you something. They'll all tell you the same thing. If you are the employee that comes in early and works hard and stays late or handles special projects and goes above and beyond the means of what is asked of you, if you are the -- right-hand man of that CEO or that president of that company, guess what? You're invaluable. You're invaluable. If you dig ditches for a living, I work at JEA, I go outside and I dig ditches. If you do that, be the best dig ditcher ever. Why? Why? Because listen, if you are the best, you will get noticed, whether it's your boss, whether it's your boss's boss, or whatever the case may be. Don't complain. Do the best you can be. Be invaluable. Be so valuable to the owner of the company that he will never want to let you go, because he knows that if you leave, it's a big loss to him. Okay, so you got to work hard where you are convincing that owner of that company, that CEO, that president of that company, that you're invaluable. You're worth more than gold, because you make his life easier. So you work hard. I promise you, when it's time for them to let people go or fire people, you're not going to be the one to be let go, because you got to be invaluable, guys. And anybody can walk off the street and do a half-ass job. Excuse my French. Anyone could do, a half-ass job. Anyone could do that. If everyone's doing that, you got to excel, man. You got to be better than everybody else. You got to have that drive, that determination, that heart. Back in the day when there was warriors and people were nomads, okay, you talk about there was, when a warrior woke up, okay, and he said, oh man, I'm having some allergies right now. I don't think I'm going to go fight. I'm not going to fight in the war because people are going to invade my village and pillage the village and destroy everything. I got allergies. I think I'm going to stay in and sleep tonight. Warriors don't do that, man. Warriors get up and they fight that battle, okay? And again, this is metaphorically speaking, but you got to be a warrior, okay? You got to fight every day. Life isn't easy, okay? Life is not easy. If life was easy, it'd be a piece of cake. Life's not easy, but your mentality determines on how easy it is to you. Because if you want to wake up and everything is a problem, everything is an excuse, guess what? You're not a warrior. You gotta have a warrior mentality. This is how I tell my employees. You gotta have a warrior mentality. You can't let something bother you. You got to, handle it head on. If you don't, guess what? If you're not a warrior, you're gonna get eaten up by the warrior. So you need to be a warrior, no matter what you do. Whether you're, you build cars, you sell hammers, you dig ditches, you sell ice cream. Whatever you do, you got to have a warrior mentality. Be strong, make good decisions, work hard, determination. Okay. Now, once you make it in life, fantastic. This is what we work for. Once you make it in life, be humble. Okay. I've met a lot of rich people in my time. Okay. And when I say rich, I'm talking about monetarily rich. Okay. Some of them are not the humblest people in the world. They like to brag. They like to show off. Guess what? All the money in the world doesn't make you a good person. Okay. You got to be humbled. I have a saying that I say, a slogan that I live by. Be humble or become humbled. So either you're humble or God's going to make you become humble. Because when you start showing off and bragging and this and that and this and that, guess what? God's going to say, okay, I got something for you. I'm going to humble you. Whether it's a setback, whether it's something in your family, whether, God forbid, I don't wish negative on anybody because that's not my style. But be humble or become humbled. Okay. So when you make it, try to help other people, whether it's, telling them some of your knowledge, helping them in business, being financially a backer to someone. Help people out, whether it's knowledge, whether it's money, whether it's love, whether it's just being there for them to call you and say, hey man, can I run some things by you? Absolutely. Do that. Pass your knowledge on to others. Pass it on to your children. Pass it on to your wife. Pass it on to everyone. We create a better society when everyone is successful. Okay? When people are successful and when they love one another and they care for one another, help them out. Just the other day, I left work. It was a late day. It was probably 6 o'clock in the evening. We closed at 3 o'clock. It was 6 o'clock. Had to stay late.
That's definitely a late day for you.
Yeah. So I'm leaving, and I step out, and there's a homeless guy sitting on the side of my sidewalk. And I know this guy. I fed him many times, and he asked me.
Real quick.
Yes. Go ahead.
If you don't know where Jameel's shop is, it's called Famous Sandwiches off of Lem Turner. So if you're familiar with Jacksonville area, this is more of a privileged area. A lot of people, you see a lot of people down there. And I personally can attest to the things that Jameel has done because I have seen him do those things. He don't ask for the recognition. He don't say this just to post a video on Facebook. And that's the thing that I hate. Too many times people want to do great things, but they want the recognition. They want an attaboy for it. Man, we clothed this entire family one time with old clothes that we had in our house. You didn't see me posting that on Facebook. But I seen a kid and an older guy walking down the street in the wintertime in Memphis. Didn't have no coat on. Man, we went to the store and bought. I said, honey, I done seen them kids too many times, and they cold. Yeah. Let's go buy them a coat. Bought them something to eat. But that's what it's all about, man. I'm gonna let you finish your story, but it's not about the accolades that come with it. When you're good in the heart, everything around you is gonna be great.
That's right. That's right. I was leaving, and I've known this guy before. He's come in a couple times. I've fed him. I've given him something to drink. Heck, I've giving them money. I walked out, and the guy said, you have any money? And, sometimes I'm hesitant to give money to these guys because some of them are addicts and they like to go and get their next high and stuff like that. So, you have to kind of take it, with a grain of salt. But you could tell this guy was really down on his luck, really hungry. I had already closed for the day, so we didn't have any food available at the time. And he was just laying down, it was about to rain. He said, do you have any money? Now, normally I don't carry a lot of cash on me. I gave the guy some money, and I said, I looked at him, I said, are you okay? And he said, yeah. And he was trying to be real quick because, you could tell he's embarrassed by his situation. He doesn't smell great. His hair's real nappy. His clothes are all tattered. The guy's living a rough life. And, I gave the guy some money. And I asked him, are you okay? He looked at me, and he said, yes. And he said, thank you for talking to me. And, I kind of stepped back for a second. I said, you're welcome. I said, do you believe in God? And he said, yes. I said, I do too. I said, I'm going to pray for you tonight that things change for you. And he said, thank you. And I said, you be careful. I've got to go home, but you take care. Okay. If you need anything, I'm here. Come in the morning and I'll try to feed you. Okay. And he said, thank you. And he got up to get ready to leave because he was embarrassed. He didn't want to be there. I said, listen, if you need to stay here, it's okay. He's laid out right in front of my restaurant. And I'm like, it's okay, man. Just take care of yourself and you be safe. Okay. There's a lot of craziness going on. And, it breaks your heart because the guy said, thank you for talking to me. Do you realize how hard that is? The guy no one ever talks to this guy. He probably never speaks to anyone because he's embarrassed. He doesn't smell great, doesn't look great, and he's down on his luck. And most people probably don't even talk to him. He probably never has talked to anyone. And I actually stopped and spoke to him just to ask how he's doing. I gave him some money and
Acknowledged him.
He humbled me by saying, thank you for talking to me. You see what I'm saying? So God, I always tell everyone, be humble or become humble. So always be humble. If you've made it in life, and I'm not saying I'm rich or I made it in life, but I'm okay where I'm at. I'm living comfortably. I have a loving family. That's all I really care about. And talking to someone that's less fortunate makes you appreciate what you have a lot more. So thank you for talking to me. So, there's a saying that goes, you complain about your feet hurting because you've been working all day. You complain about your feet hurting until you finally see a guy that has no feet. You don't really complain about your feet hurting anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So you complain about your feet hurting because you've been working all day until you meet that guy that doesn't have any feet, that had to amputate them because he's had diabetes or something like that. Put your life in perspective, guys. We live in the United States, one of the best countries in the world, where anyone can make it, okay? But we have people that take that opportunity and, they have excuses for everything. Everything is an excuse. So if you live that way, you're never going to make it. It's always going to be an excuse for you. So work hard, be humble, make good decisions, and help out your fellow man. If everyone helped everyone out, guess what? This would be the best place in the world. So everyone do your part, man. Everyone do your part.
What's crazy is a lot of people don't understand what other countries have. Right? They try to compare. Yeah, everything in America is not great. There is a lot of racial injustice, a lot of social injustice. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are putting in their mind that they can't do something. But if you've seen how it was to live in, let's just say, Afghanistan or Djibouti or Thailand or any one of these other countries that are really experiencing a impoverished economy, not a impoverished neighborhood, but the entire country is poor. your whole perspective changed of what you can do and what you can't do. And I think too many times people get too mixed up in that. You know, they take what they have for granted, and they take their situation and be like, wow, I literally can't do any better than what I'm doing already. But don't let your environment dictate your success.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to just say, I kind of have a story about almost everything I've been doing. I have a lot of background stories. My father, again, my hero, here in the United States, when people say they're poor, I live in the projects, I'm poor. They still got a TV at their house. They still got a cell phone. They still got a roof over their head. You go overseas and you see a lot of these refugee camps and stuff like that. My father grew up dirt poor, okay, where they had to live off the street, and him and his brothers and his sisters, they lived a rough life, man. My grandfather and my grandmother, God rest their souls, they worked hard, but it's different, okay? Being poor overseas is you don't know what you're going to eat tonight. Being poor overseas is you haven't seen a TV in your life. Being poor, you don't even know what a cell phone is. They didn't have cell phones back then, but they didn't have a house phone either. So being poor is all relative. So when you say you're poor, for the majority of the world, you're rich. Because being poor in the United States is not the same as being poor overseas. You go to some of these other countries where they have refugees and stuff like that, and these kids are trying to eat grass, literally grass, to keep, from starvation. So being poor is relative. It's all in your head, as opposed to, you being poor compared to that person overseas being poor. That's two different stories, man. So you have an opportunity to make something. There's people that die trying to come over to the United States to get your opportunity, and you're letting it just go by the wayside because you're full of excuses. Wake up, guys. Don't take for granted the opportunity you have. Okay, a lot of people will give everything in their life to get the opportunity you have. Don't waste your opportunity with filled up with all these excuses, because again, excuses equal failure. Yeah. Work hard, man. You gotta take your opportunity and seize it, man. Some people they do anything for your opportunity, and a lot of these people are will just complain that they didn't get an opportunity. Oh, you got an opportunity, bro. You just don't want it bad enough. That's all.
I wanna. My biggest thing is always to try to educate on business, but I think majority of our conversation tonight was something that somebody needed to hear. God has literally been placing a lot of stuff on my heart lately. And too many times we try to push our narrative, but sometimes we don't let his narrative get pushed. And I don't want to sit here and start church on here, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to receive the message that we're telling you. You know what I mean? There's somebody out there watching this today that had an excuse yesterday, but had an excuse when they woke up today. But instead is saying, thank God, because I woke up today.
Absolutely.
Because I had a roof over my head. Because I had people like Jameel, because I had people like Jack that will run into me and be able to be a blessing to me in some kind of way. It doesn't have to be monetary, but it could be a mental, it could be an emotional, it could be any of that. And I think too many times we try to push the narrative too many times instead of sitting back and just be like, man, I'm blessed, bro.
Absolutely.
I man, you know what? We can sit here and have a whole nother hour of this.
Easily.
But I do want to get into some things that I think will be beneficial for those people that are looking to move into that next step.
Let's do it.
For people that's looking to get into the restaurant industry, what is some advice that you would give them?
Restaurant industry, when we started 30 years ago, a little bit over 30 years now, it was the times were different. It was a lot easier to get good employees. There wasn't as much competition. Things were different. Nowadays, you have a lot of competition. Work ethic isn't as strong as it was back then. It's hard to find good employees. But being the restaurant industry, it's a love-hate relationship. And the reason why is it's great once you get going, but it takes some time to get going. You got to build your reputation up. You open your doors. You're not going to have 100 people lined up to try you out. They don't know you from the next guy off the street. So you kind of have to build that reputation, and it takes years to build reputation. It takes a matter of seconds to lose it. If you're rude to your customers, or you just you don't provide a good service, or you don't provide a good atmosphere, you're going to get destroyed. Especially online, you're going to get destroyed real fast. And bad news travels 5 times faster than good news does. Trust me. And the thing about it is you can't please everyone. So you could try your best and be the nicest person in the world and do everything and bend over backwards to try to please someone. Some people just don't want to be pleased. So you just got to accept that and move on. People that try to get in the restaurant industry, you have to understand something. Most restaurants fail within the first couple of years because everyone thinks that, I'll just open my doors, I'll have all these customers, and it's easy. It's an easy peasy job. It's not like that, guys. You will be putting a lot of time in. If you have young children, you will be missing a lot of time with your children because you will be putting a lot of time in, especially when you first open up and you don't have that reputation yet. You're trying to build your reputation. You're not going to be able to afford to have a large staff because you don't have money coming in to pay your staff. So guess what? You're going to be the one busting your butt, getting in there early, staying late. If an employee calls in sick or doesn't show up or quits without notice, guess what? You're the person that's covering for them. So you're going to be working double shifts. You're going to be busting it. So it's a love-hate relationship. Yes, I love it because I love meeting all kinds of people. I love making great food. I love family. I love seeing people grow up. I really love seeing families come in, and I try to talk to them. People have come in with their children. I try to talk to the kids. I try to talk to the wife, to the husband or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever the case may be, because I love relationships. When you go to like a fast food restaurant, you're a number to them. They don't know your name. They don't know your family background. They don't know what you do. Me, we're the complete opposite. We like to have relationships with everyone. So people come in. My dad he's been there for so long. Everyone knows him, and everyone in town knows this guy. He's been around so long. And when you do good to people, you're going to get that love back. So if you want to open up a restaurant, you got to do several things. You got to be prepared not to make money for a good year or two because you're going to be paying because you got to build your reputation up. So don't expect to make money right off the bat. You're not going to make it. If you don't have at least a year, I would suggest at least 2 years saved up. That way you could pay your rent, you could pay your employees, you could pay for your food costs. And what a lot of people don't realize is, guys, the food cost is one thing. Your labor is very expensive. Okay, that's like at least a third of what your profit's going to be. It's going to be your labor. But there's expenses that you don't think about. Yeah, you got your utilities, you got your insurance and stuff like that. But especially now with COVID-19 and pandemic, a box of gloves. I used to get a box of gloves for like $25, $30. Okay, a box of gloves, and you have to wear gloves. You're doing food service. A box of gloves now, you can't find a box of gloves for less than $80, $90. So you're talking about double, sometimes triple the cost because of the pandemic. And now you're having to increase your sanitation costs, you increase your gloves and your personal protection and face mask. Guys, these are all things you didn't build it. I mean, yeah, you get gloves, but when you're expecting your gloves to be $30 a box, now they're $90 a box. That adds up real fast. Okay, and the amount of gloves and face masks you go through, and You have to have more hand sanitizer, more sanitation. All these things, first off, they're hard to find. And then when you do find them, they're so expensive now because there's such a short supply and high demand. So you're paying a huge cost. That was never factored into your pricing, you know? So it's kind of difficult now to actually start a business, especially in this environment, but it can be done. You have to work hard. You want to stand out somehow. And the way you stand out is you got to either provide a really great product, really great customer service. These two things are very, very important. If you could do those two things, you know, it'll be great for you, but it's hard to do that. You have to train others to have your same mindset. Okay. So it's hard to train someone else, an employee, to have your work ethic and your mindset, because a lot of people don't want to put that time or effort in to do that. So you have to find good employees. You have to train them properly. You have to understand, they have to understand that, you know, we're all a team. So if this team does well and we're successful, hey, I can afford to give more raises out. If we're bringing more money in and we're providing a good customer service and more people are coming in, I can give raises out. But if we're barely breaking even, I can't, you know, it's one of those things where you have to understand, we work together. The better we do as a team, we all win. So we have to work hard and, you know, have that great customer service. So you want to start a restaurant, save, because you're going to have a lot of money saved up.
You spoke about it very briefly. I know we spoke about it before. A lot of people don't understand the unexpected overhead in business, but let alone a restaurant, because the price of food may go up. You remember we was talking about the pigs and how farmers had to kill their pigs. All this pork that usually goes out.
Yep.
I mean, it's not going out because they don't have the labor. They don't have the sanitation to do it. It's so much legalities that go into it now. They just don't have it, you know. So what kind of advice would you give them to fairly manage their overhead and expect? And again, that's a hard word. Expect to put out.
When I try to factor in, like right now, it's actually very hard to source product right now. All the food service companies, they're all out of something. Pork was having a hard time for a while. Beef was hard to find for a little bit. It's kind of mellowed out a little bit now, but you'd be amazed by how much extra shopping I have to do, because I got to find out who's got what and who's out of what. And then when you do find it, it's usually at a higher cost. So when you do your expenses, you always got to factor in the X factor. And the X factor is you having to, you know, there's a price increase because there's a bird flu. I remember when the bird flu came around, egg prices were sky high, and you couldn't, you know, and things are cyclical too. So like the tomato prices, certain parts of the year, certain times of the year, the tomatoes are like triple in cost, and onions, same thing. They double, triple in price. So you have to figure out, okay, my food cost is going to cost me this much on a normal day, without a pandemic, without a bird flu, without something going on. Right. And then you got to figure out, okay, I got to put an X value in there. That variable is going to be things that are outside of your control, whether it's, you know, there's flooding, a hurricane wiped out the crops, there's some kind of pandemic going on. These are things that are out of your control, but you have to figure out that, you know, sometimes you're going to have to pay more for certain products. So you need to factor in a little bit of breathing room, so when you can absorb some of those costs for a short amount of time, you know, absorbing those for a long amount of time, you're going to have to eventually increase your pricing. But you can, you know, factor some of that, you can absorb some of that cost for a short period of time. So you want to always factor in a little bit of an X factor. So if you want to factor in, okay, you know, I'm paying, you know, $1 per serving for this. You want to factor in, okay, this might cost me $1.50 down the line. So I'm going to factor in it as it being $1.50 as opposed to $1 now. So just, you know, these are just numbers I'm throwing out in the air, but always want to factor in cost and increase that by X percent. because you know that eventually something's going to happen where your costs are going to be sky high.
I got real quick.
Yeah.
I was told something when I was in the business plan phase and figuring out my projections, figuring out my performa. If you don't know what projections is, when you're sitting there, you're putting together your business plan and all that stuff. Banks require you to see what you're going to make or what you think you're going to make over the first 3 years, right? Because like Jameel said earlier, don't expect in no type of business to instantly to start making money in your first year, your first year or two, because quite frankly, it takes 6 months to a year to start even seeing some type of profits, and you got to consume those. But what a lot of people don't understand is when you sit here, you have your projections laid out, cost of goods, salary, insurance, TV, whatever the case may be. You also need to put under there, right underneath taxes, or you can even do it before taxes, but you need to have a 5% reserve contingency, right? That contingency allows for you to absorb some of those things that Jameel is talking about, those influx in prices, those pandemics, those bird flus, those things that hit hurricanes out here in Jacksonville. That's big. We
got one coming.
We got one coming. So for those businesses that requires customers to constantly patronize their spots to make profits, you got to have a reserve contingency set aside so you can actually consume those. I had one customer yesterday reach out to me and they was like, Jesus Christ, Jack, why is your shipping price so high, right? And a lot of people don't understand because Amazon has really kind of messed the game up on shipping. But in order to offer free shipping, that is one of my biggest expenses at this current moment is shipping, right? To offer free shipping, you got to understand that 30-year profits are lost. Offering just free shipping or having some major contract with some type of major shipping company such as FedEx, UPS, Postal Services, DHL, those different type of things. And they was like, well, why is your shipping prices so much? I don't understand. I ship all the way from Hawaii to Canada to Jacksonville. It does not matter where I ship from, but I have to consume that cost in some shape or form. So again, in some shape or form, something has to go up in prices. I can't offer you affordable cigars, but you want free shipping as well. If that's
I don't know if you guys have shipped anything out lately. Shipping is expensive, guys. Jack is on the money for this. I had to ship, I don't know, it was just a small box, nothing big. I had to ship something out. It cost me more than the product was to ship it. I said, I might as well I'm just going to throw it away. What's the point of shipping it back? It's going to cost me more to ship it back than it's worth.
Man, I'm telling you.
And I'm like, here's my problem. Now, being in food service, we're kind of different markets, but being in food service, you have a lot of food delivery companies like Uber and DoorDash and all these other companies. I get phone calls constantly for me to sign up with them. And I'm like, okay, well, what's your cut? Because I know you guys take a cut. What's your cut? 33%, guys. Think about that. And I negotiated one of them down to 25%, I think it was, or 30%. And I'm like, guys, you do realize in food service, that's usually all of your profit.
That's your profit.
Exactly. That's the only profit you make is around 30%. Some give or take, some items you'll make a little bit more, some items you'll make a little bit less. Okay. But that's your profit. So the guy, I argued with a guy, I think he was with Uber or something. He was trying to get me to sign up and he was like, oh, well, it's only 30%. I'm like, well, listen, I can't do that because that's all of my profit. I would be making $0 on my profit, on my food to sell it. Oh, well, we're going to bring you so much more business. I'm like, dude, I don't care if you bring me $1 million worth of business. If I'm making $0 profit on that $1 million, what's the point? Or I'm going to make money.
Or they're gonna send you $1 million. But what a lot of people fail to realize, let's just break that down real quick. 30% of $1 million is $300,000.
Yeah, the rest of it goes to my cost.
$50,000.
Yeah, the rest of it is my cost. on a typical order, you maybe make, again, these are just approximations. You maybe make 30% on an order, maybe. When you factor in your food cost, your utility cost, your insurance cost, your liability cost, your labor, all that adds up. So out of a certain ticket, you average approximately 20 to 30% profit. Hopefully, if you set prices properly. But when these food delivery companies are trying to take 30% and literally 30%, I'm like, guys, it doesn't matter how much you bring me. I'm not making any money on any orders you bring me. Now, if you're telling me, you're going to charge me 10% or 15% to deliver my food to someone else, we could talk, because I understand you have to make money, but I have to make money too.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna give up all of my profit just to give it to you so you can deliver it to someone. It's just not gonna happen. Yeah, and a lot of these, and if you look online, a lot of restaurants have started to back away from these food delivery companies because they're literally robbing people. They're robbing restaurants of their money. Now, some of the higher ticket items, like sit-down restaurants, like the more steakhouses and stuff like that, those kind of restaurants where they have a higher ticket margin, they could probably afford to do something like that because their tickets are a lot higher. But when you're talking about like a fast casual kind of place, these guys, if you're not a big corporation where you can negotiate their cut, you can't negotiate it down. If you're a small mom and pop, you can't afford to give away 30% of your profit because that's the only profit you make. Some of these larger corporations that have multiple locations, they can afford to negotiate down and probably get a better rate, I'm sure. But, these are expenses that people don't think about. So
let's talk about gross profit and net profit. Those are two different things that people kind of expect they're the same. Gross profit is what you make at the end of the year. Your sales are all done. Call those sales profits, or something that you charge based on what it is that you pay for the goods. You charge, that's your profit. Now, net pricing is net profits are a little bit different, and this is what we're talking about. We're talking about net profits here. When you think of, if you make $1 million, your overhead or your cost to operate is, let's just say, 75% of that $1 million. That's salary, that's utilities, that's rent, that's taxes, that's everything that goes into that. That's your reserve contingency. That's your security bill. That's your POS system, because a lot of people don't understand too. In order to take debit cards and credit cards and all that stuff, you're paying a 2.7, 3.5% on that alone.
And that's usually higher because there's a lot of back office prices. It usually averages around 4%, usually. Yeah. So they, a lot of these credit card companies will say, oh yeah, we'll give you 2.5%. But then they add on this fee and that fee and this fee and that fee. By the time you look at it, it's around 4%, anywhere from 3.5% to 4.5% typically. So I average out my credit card cost of average out to be about 3.5% to 4% on every single card that's swiped, whether it's debit or credit. And that adds up real quick, guys. Your point of sale too, like again, people that are trying to get in the restaurant business or food truck businesses, your point of sale, you usually have to pay a monthly service for every monitor that you have for your point of sale. These are things you don't think about when you're opening up a business. Your credit card fees are huge, anywhere from 3.5% to 4.5%. So
that's huge.
That's
your
right.
Refunds.
Absolutely. Another thing you got to think about too, as far as cost is concerned, is your shrinkage, whether it's people stealing, whether it's people like dropping food and they have to remake it. These are all like waste, things that you have to throw away at the end of the day. Like if you have, you have leftover fries or leftover this or leftover that, you got to throw that stuff away. You have to remake it fresh in the morning. So you have what's called shrinkage for your food costs and your waste. And let's say someone makes a sandwich wrong or makes a breakfast wrong and you have to remake it. Well, you have to toss that first one away or give it away and then remake it. That you're not making profit on that second set that you have to make. So these are all factors you have to put in. And, when you're doing your cost analysis, because again, you have your gross minus all the deductions you have before you get the net. There's a lot of deductions that you have to figure out before you get to that net figure. So you have to keep in mind all the other things that you probably don't think about, because the average Joe just says, oh, I'll just sell this for twice as much as I paid for it and I'll be golden. That's not how it works. There's a lot more to it.
And with that same mentality in today's society, back in the day, you can get away with that. You can get away with, doubling the cost and kind of get away with the margin on that. But in today's society, when you can price point things in the blink of an eye, you have to really take that in accountability. I see it all the time. I walk into a cigar lounge and I'm all about, support your local cigar lounge. I'm all about that. So support your local tobacco store, whatever the case may be. If you smoke cigars, you smoke hookah, whatever the case may be, go there. But the thing about it too is that owner of that spot also got to be utilizing these price points that they have at their disposal. It's no way I'm going to, one, be successful online if I don't look at what my other competitors are doing on that same cigar. If I think that, well, MSRP tells me to sell this stick for $12, I'll be foolish to sit here and say, okay, I'm gonna do $13, but the next site they have is at $9.75. They're gonna be like, first of all, it's 25 cents, regardless if it ain't a lot of money anyway. Pennies add up. Absolutely. And you gotta always look for, there's going to be reasons why you have expenses that pop up too. So you have to keep in mind that when you're factoring cost, you have to factor in that X factor. Again, there's always an X factor. Things like, for instance, if my grill dies and I have to buy a new grill, these capital expenses, a grill, a nice 4-foot grill, it's not cheap. No. My microwave alone, we have, commercial sized microwaves. These microwaves are $1,400 each, guys. We don't use a lot of our fryers, your hood system, your air conditioning system, your grills, your hot plates, your sandwich units, all these things will eventually break down. It's just a matter of time. They're all mechanical. So you have to have reserves saved up for capital expenses. If you have to buy new equipment, if you have to repair equipment, there's always you're always going to have a electrician on hand, a plumber on hand, a repairman on hand. You're always going to have these expenses that come up out of the blue, and you got to keep that in mind. So if you're preparing, you always want to have, a little fund set up for your expenses when it comes to repairing things and buying new equipment. I always try to have an equipment fund. I always try to have, and just regular service. I mean, you got to have your air conditioning checked every so often. We live in Florida. It's sunny all the time. With the humidity, feels like 100 and some degrees outside. And, you're working inside a restaurant where you got grills going, you got fryers going, you got microwaves going, you got hot plates going, you got everything going. That all produces a lot of heat. So your air conditioning system has to be top notch. Being in a cigar lounge, you probably got smoke eaters. It's not cheap either.
Yeah, smoke eaters. You got to have the air conditioning systems. You got to have, these are all things you got to keep in mind when you are building a business. You have to factor in cost because things will eventually break down. So you got to be able to have those expenses paid for by some kind of fund that you set up for your equipment or repairs or something like that. So
absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't see those things. They see, oh, I can go in here and I can make this money. And those are the business that you see shutting down, especially right now during the pandemic. It has a large effect on the restaurant industry as well as the cigar industry. These are two that are not dodging a bullet. When you limit, your restaurant capacity to 50%, you're also limiting your profit margins to 50%. You're also limiting, your expenses that you're putting out because now you're not getting that food. And same here in the cigar industry. At one point in time, a lot of people be like, well, I don't get what's taking so long for my cigars to come in. But do you understand that, some of these companies literally shut down and some of these cigars are good bestsellers. So, even though they're bestsellers, if they can't produce the large amount of cigars that they usually produce because of because of COVID restrictions or the amount of seating and different things that you have, when all these social distancing implications that you have to put in, I mean, it's really hard to be successful during this time. For somebody that's experienced in that COVID luck, right? I'm gonna call it. What is one advice that you would give to them to try to maintain enough to make it through this? Because quite frankly, if you think COVID is ending tomorrow, it's not going to happen. We're not going to probably see the end of this until, maybe next year. And what a lot of people don't understand either is, even so, the economy is still taking its major turn.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had the worst drop in stock market history since it's been recorded.
Yeah. There's a lot of restaurants. I have a lot of friends and family that's in the restaurant business. There's a lot of restaurants that will be shut down permanently, that will not open back up. You hear about it all the time. If you're listening to the news and reading, I like to do a lot of reading. I try to be a student for life. I always want to learn something all the time. And anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur needs to learn constantly. Never take anything for face value, because people are always throwing some kind of agenda out there. So you always want to dig deeper into the facts, into the details. A lot of these restaurants, I've heard Dunkin' Donuts has shut down several hundreds of stores throughout the United States, and they're permanently closing. I think Golden Corral's taking a hit. They're closing. There's several restaurants that are closing down that are not going to open back up because the pandemic has just put a squeeze on them. Again, it's hard for me to find certain products for my food service companies. And luckily, we've been in business for so long, everyone kind of knows us. But I feel real bad for a lot of the new guys that just opened up right when this hit, because those guys don't have the history, and they don't have the customer base that some of these more established restaurants are. And again, like, our dining room is shut down by mandate. You can only have 50% dine-in. So that hurts our dine-in business. Luckily, we do have a drive-through, so that helps out a little bit. We'll still open for takeout and 50% dining. But that does take a toll on, any kind of restaurant, especially sit-down restaurants. The sit-down restaurants are taking it really hard right now, because, if you can only open your dining room for 50%, that's 50% less people that you can have inside your place. That's a lot, man. That is can make or break you real fast. And this pandemic's going to last for some time. Even when they come out with a vaccine, there's going to be times where a lot of people are still not going to be wanting to get that vaccine right away. It's going to be, in my estimate, it's going to be at least a year or two before we even get anything back to normal. And hopefully we do get back to normal. Now, with that being said, there's going to be some competitors that leave the market, but you're going to take a toll too, because your business is not running at 100% capacity. So some people might close up shop, but you're also taking a hit too, because you don't have the capacity that you're accustomed to, that that you're used to. So you have to. I mean, you got to adapt. I know a lot of restaurants. I'm really good friends with the guys at Firehouse Subs, great guys, great company. You got to be able to adapt. They set up like outdoor, when people come in, like if you order food, they can bring it out to you. That way you don't have to come inside. They have like a to-go system where they have like a little shelf. You can pay for it online. You walk in and just grab your bag off the shelf and go with it. A lot of companies have been adapting to the pandemic by trying to come up with innovative and creative ways to, interact with their customers where a lot of touchless things, having to increase your sanitation and things of that nature, just making your customer feel that it's safe to come in, it's safe to come in and dine in and or take your food to go. You got to, figure out a way where you can adapt to the market without, keeping your customer confident that they can come in and have a safe experience and try to have some kind of normalcy back in their life. A lot of people, when they go out to eat, they're you know, it's a break from work. It's a break from reality. They can just sit down for a little bit, have something to eat, maybe talk with some friends or family. You know, it's same thing as cigars. You know, guys want to get away for a little bit, go to the cigar lounge, sit down, have a stogie or something, and just relax, you know, and just get their mind off of work or get their mind off of or any kind of issues that they're dealing with, or just to relax. Just to kick. I mean, I had a long week this week, so this is kind of relaxing for me to have a drink with Jack and to smoke a little bit. But you got to adapt as best as you can, and try to come up with. And every business is going to have their own way of dealing with it. We've definitely increased sanitation throughout our entire restaurant. Everything's being wiped out every 15 minutes. We usually have an entire sanitization in our lobby area, our door handles, any kind of pens or anything that people touch, trays. We will bring out the food to your car if you don't want to come in. A lot of people call in their orders. That way it's prepared so they could just come in and pay for their food and walk right out. They don't have to wait. So we're trying to adapt as best as we can. We do have a drive-through, so people, they don't have to come in at all. If they won't, they can just go to the drive-through. Yeah, sometimes the waits are long, but you have to understand, you know, everything's made fresh. And usually when it's the peak hours, you're going to have to wait a little bit for things that are freshly prepared. And to me, that's the only way I like to eat my food. I like my food to be fresh. I don't like to walk into a place and the food's already done. You just, they just put it in a bag and send it. I don't like that. I like my food to be prepared fresh. But yeah, you got to adapt. It's a game. You got to have to play that game, and everyone's going to have their own ways of doing it. But yeah, that's that.
Absolutely. Well, Jameel, I thank you so much for your time that you spent with us here on the virtual smoke deck. We actually went over time, but at the end of the day, I don't feel no kind of remorse for it because we had a great conversation.
Absolutely.
We dove deep into some things that I think will really help not only entrepreneurs but just people that's living, And one thing to take away that I took away is be humble or you will get humbled, And
absolutely,
that's why people, I tell people about my business, but I don't really try to boast or brag about myself. I try to do what I can because at the end of the day, I already know that God is guiding my footsteps. I'm doing this for Him, not for me. And I really feel like even more. I have more tools that I can add to my mental toolbox to become a successful entrepreneur. So I do appreciate all your time, all your effort that you put in to spending with us on your family day, and we'll be in touch, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And Jack, thank you for having me. I do want to say to everyone that I do believe in you guys. I don't know you personally, but everyone can do whatever you put your mind to it. I have faith in you. You may not hear that from a lot of people, but I have faith in you. Jack, I'm proud of you for your passion. And you told me you were going to open up a cigar shop when we first met. And look at you now, man. I'm proud of you. I'm always here for you. If you need something, you know where I'm at. Give me a call. And, I'll try to help you out as best as I can. And for everybody out watching this video, guys, believe in God, work hard, make good decisions, be moral, be respectful, do all the things that you would want people to do to you. And if you do that and you work hard and you don't have any excuses and you put your mind to it, you can do it. I have faith in you guys, and I hope to see you on the other side, guys.
All right, Meal. You have a good day,
man.
bro.
Thank you, man.
And make sure y'all go check out Jameel at Famous Sandwiches, located in North Jacksonville, 7404 Lim Turner Road, Jacksonville, Florida, 32218. They have some great food, great wings, great pork chop sandwiches, great everything. Go check them out. Again, don't beat them up if you got to wait a little bit. That place do get packed, and it gets packed quick. So go check them out. Closing remarks, though, for this. If you didn't learn something from this, I guess you wasn't just listening. Your ears wasn't open enough to receive it. Work hard. Again, use those same 3 motivational points that I use every week. Is dedication, motivation, and persistence. and you will always succeed in anything that you do. Continuously to stay prayed up, continue to ask for what it is that you need to do next, as well as just simply do what it is that you feel best to do. If you haven't already, go check out Dapper D Cigars for all your cigar needs and wants. Also, we have a giveaway that we do every month at Dapper D Cigars. In order to subscribe for a chance to win, all you have to do is go to DapperDCigars.com. I made it real easy for you. It's going to be the first thing that pops up as soon as you get on there. And this month, we're giving away a 50-count humidor as our giveaway. So for all those that's looking to expand the humidor collection, or those that are simply, looking to get their first humidor, this is a great chance to win. We make it very fair. If you go on Dapper D Cigars on Facebook, you'll see that our customer that won our last month's package was very, very satisfied with their package, and man, it was great. So with that being said, go ahead and check that out. As always, we are live every single week on Sunday here on the Virtual Smoke Deck, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're also live on Facebook as well as YouTube. Go follow us and press that like button on Facebook at Dapper D Cigars, as well as follow us on Instagram at Dapper D Cigars as well. And if you haven't already, go to Jack the Cigar Enthusiast, press that subscribe button, give me a big thumbs up, and smash on that notification bell to get all the updated content that Jack the Cigar Enthusiast has to offer. With that being said, I appreciate you guys spending y'all Sunday afternoon evening with me. And I look to see you guys next Sunday. With that being said, I'm Jack the Cigar Enthusiast. I hope y'all have a great day, and I'm gone.